Composer Michael Whitgraf is here to talk about art music. Thank you for being here, and congratulations is in order. Recently, you won a regional award.
I did.
The Northern Valley Art Council's Music Artist of the Year.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're not here to talk about that in particular. We're here to talk about music that you compose called art music. How did you get involved in art music?
Ever since I was a kid, 12, 13, 14 years old, I wanted to be a composer. My dad was my band director in high school, and he was a band director when I was a little kid. My mom taught me piano. It's a musical family. And my dad has a huge collection of classical music, LPs. Do you know what they are? Records. And I listened to them all the time. And by the time I was an early teenager, I was listening to them every day. And I wanted to be a composer. In fact, I thought when people went to concerts and clapped, they were clapping for the composer, whether the composer was dead or not. I had no idea that you would clap for the piano player or the violinist.
So it's a little bit of an experience. How would you describe art music?
Art music, it follows the tradition of the great composers. You mentioned Mozart and Bach. Through Bach, through Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms, and then into the 20th century where it starts getting a little bit stranger. But each one of those composers broke some boundaries along the way. They recognized the history and the tradition, and they were taught in a history and a tradition, but they also recognized that to copy their predecessors is not the way of an artist. You need to push forward and I don't know if progress is the right word, but you need to expand and explore and try new things. And that's the lineage that I come from. In the 21st century, the music is sounding a little bit different than people are used to nowadays.
Why do you compose art music?
Because, that's a good question. Part of it is because I always wanted to be a composer, and now I'm trained. I got 2 graduate degrees in composition, and that's what we're trained to do, is explore. The other reason is I suspect that I've listened to so much music that I don't want to say it bores me, but I really have a yearning to get something new and different in my ears, because I have listened in my life to so much music.
We actually have a clip of one of your compositions, so we'll just take a little listen to that.
Okay.
What are we hearing, or what did we just hear?
That piece of music is called Disinformation Indistinguished. It's a tongue twister. It was written entirely on computers using pre-recorded sounds. I made most of the sounds myself. I was clinking things together, and I spoke into a microphone and did things, but all of those sounds are put through a computer and heavily processed to the point where most of them are actually unrecognizable. This piece is supposed to be performed, you push a button and you play it, that's what it is, but it's supposed to have 4 speakers, kind of like surround sound, 2 in front of you, 2 in back of you, so you get sounds going back and forth. But it explores sound. I say, I want to take this sound of this glass clinking, what can I do to it? How can I make it be a musical motive? How can I hold somebody's interest for 8 minutes? That's what a composer does. I organize sound in a span of time.
It just sounds like a bunch of random noises. What makes art music different than other types?
Well, art music takes, different than other types, you'd have to specify which types. But in general, art music is not concerned with, I wouldn't say it's not concerned with audiences, but it's not concerned with making money. It doesn't progress from how much of this can I sell? What are most people going to like? It really speaks from me. What do I like? And if it happens to draw the interest of other people, that's great. But I do take it very seriously, and I have so much respect for music, from little kid music that you learned when you're a little kid, to popular music, to any kind of music, to music that is used just for teaching, to my kind of music, which is really, I think it's kind of heady and intellectual and a little bit too erudite for most people, which that's what I enjoy, and that's what I do, and I write it for people who are interested in really, really stretching their oral boundaries.
And we actually have another piece of music that may sound to some people a little bit more like music. So we'll take a listen to this. It sounds different than the first
Yes, it
piece.
does.
How is it different?
It's different, first of all, that it didn't use any computers to make the sound. It's for an orchestra, and that's an orchestra performing it. So using acoustic instruments, in other words, that the first piece was using entirely computer-processed sounds. So yes, it's radically different. Writing for an orchestra, I have to think differently. I have to go, well, the violins can't make a sound that sounds like glasses clinking together, and they can only play notes so fast, and they can only play so low, they can only play so high, and the trumpets can play louder than them. And there's all these restrictions that are on me, but you get the sound of an orchestra, which is pretty cool, and that's why it sounds more like something you're familiar with, because it's with, you know, the orchestra's been around for over 200 years.
Why are we exploring this type of music? Or why do you explore this type of music?
Why not? What else do humans do? I do it because I'm interested in sound. I'm a musician. I'm a composer. To the term art music or art anything means that it's not for anything, yet it's for everything. It's not for anyone, yet it's for everyone. Everyone can get something different out of it. So that's really why I do it.
Well, thank you so much for being here.